Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 97. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody.
And Dead Set Gaming's asking how Lucille is doing. Well, if you mean one of my mom's cats, uh, he is doing fine. His his name is now Lucas because
Nice.
everybody made a boo-boo.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's what those are. Andrew, give us a new name for the because I originally named him Lucille.
Yeah.
I wasn't even there. My sister named the last one, and Mom said, "New cat, give us a name." And I said, "All right, Lucille, because there's a good name." And then it turned out little Lucy was actually a boy,
Yeah. Take
and
it in to get it spayed, and they're like, "Are you sure you want it spayed?"
it needs to be neutered as it. That's exactly what happened because they took him in to get spayed and then found out that he really needed to be neutered.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Andrew, new name. Okay, Lucas then. But if anyone's wondering how Dead Sec knows about that cat, it's a story I chronicle in a older YouTube video of mine called Lucille's Balls. So uh, go ahead, go ahead and look that up on your own time if you are so inclined.
Did I see the bad New York Times op-ed? I don't know which one you're
Which
talking about,
one,
Matthew.
You got to narrow it down there, man.
Yeah,
The
the New York
bad New York
Times.
Times op-ed?
And well, it's the New York Times and it's an op-ed, so that's like a double whammy there.
Yeah. If let me see, I know which one he's talking about, but I didn't read it, so I can't comment on it. I think it was about esports or something. I forget. Matthew tweeted it at me, and I never read it because I had absolutely no difficulty believing his assessment that it was a crappy editorial. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure it is. Let me see. Yeah, it's called here. All we want to do is watch each other play, or all we want to do is watch each other play video games. Gamers are the new stars. Esports arenas are the new movie theaters. And Matthew, for his part, categorized it as just having an issue with the article stereotyping gamers in some way.
Yeah.
I didn't read it because I'm sure it's a dumb editorial, but to be fair, I didn't read it. So
Nellie Bowles. I don't know who Nellie Bowles is, but
should have went with Lucifer. Sure.
Nellie Bowles covers tech and internet culture from San Francisco for the New York Times. Before joining the Times, she was a correspondent for Vice News Tonight. She has written for California Sunday, Recode, The Guardian, and the San Francisco Chronicle. Well, if she works for the New York Times, then it's not an op-ed, it's an editorial. But
so up your game there, Nell, because one of your readers is less than impressed.
yeah.
Born Distracted says, I'm starting to think Andrew should have been the new Solo. What, like
Han Solo?
Han Solo in the new Solo Star Wars movie Solo? Why?
Andrew doesn't even like the idea of a Han Solo movie. Why would he want to be Han Solo?
Well, no. I think the new Solo movie looks fun.
Yeah. It's looking better. The first early looks
fun.
and stuff didn't look all that interesting, but the latest trailers and clips that they've released have made it look a lot better. Than what it did at the start.
To clarify my stance on this for anyone who doesn't know, and I've made a video about this too, and I forget what it's called. Just search YouTube for Andrew Eisen / and Star Wars or something. I don't have a problem with a Han Solo movie. What makes me a little weary is the fact that all of the upcoming Star Wars A side story type movies are based on characters from the trilogy. So it's like a Han Solo movie. Okay, I mean, don't really need it. I think I've had enough Han Solo in in four of the four of the now 8 films.
Yeah.
But okay, and then we're gonna do an Obi-Wan. I'm like, and a Yoda and a Jabba and Boba Fett. I'm like, whoa, 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 come on. The Star Wars universe is bigger than the same darn characters over and over. Let's use the galaxy of Star Wars, the universe of Star Wars, and explore some of the other ends instead of the same stuff over and over. But even if they do just release complete character-based movies, if they're all good,
Yeah.
I mean, I can bemoan the lost potential for something new, but at the end of the day, it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Definitely. And there's nothing wrong with that. We've had golly, how many Marvel movies have we had? It's just very. We've had numerous movies starring the same cast of characters over the last 10 years or so, and they keep churning them out, and for the most part, they're pretty good. And they've had some misfires, I think. Thor, Dark World, and Iron Man 2 and 3 and stuff, but even those were relatively fun even though they're mostly forgettable. But
there are things to like about them.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I could definitely, as long as they're trying to do something creative with each of the Star Wars movies, I think they can make interesting films.
Although speaking of Thor: The Dark World, you're running into a problem when even a dork like me can't answer basic questions in the movie, like what happened, why did the character do this? Because I saw the movie with a friend of mine, and after the movie, she's asking me very basic standard questions like, why did this character do this? What was that for? Why did this happen? What happened here? And I was like, well, if you had watched the movie instead of playing with your dog, you'd know. We were at a drive-in, so
I watched a recap. I'm trying to remember which channel it was on, but they did a recap of all of the MCU leading into Infinity War,
and a lot of different outlets have done that.
Yeah, and they basically talked about what we needed to know about each of the films. It was just like so you don't have to sit down and watch all the movies before watching Infinity Wars. Here's what you need to know. And they got to the Dark World, and it's like, we're introduced to the Aether. They gave it to the Collector. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
The red floating,
because every other movie, even if it didn't involve an Infinity Stone or something, got at least a minute and a half of screen time in this video. But the Dark World was like 15 seconds and it was over. So it was, I laughed when they got to that one. But yeah, it was just Dark a pretty forgettable movie.
Yeah, but there is so much in it that in and of itself is just a lot of fun. I mean, it's a movie of a lot of good individual moments that unfortunately don't quite coalesce into a wondrous whole.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with the Justice League movie. There's a lot of fun individual moments, but it doesn't really form a good movie overall. Yeah. Or at least I don't know, less moments, but more scenes. Like seeing the Flash run around a cylindrical room and push Diana's sword back into her hand, and then Aquaman coming in through a breach in an underwater tunnel and stopping the water with his trident. That kind of stuff. Cool things to look at. But
does he say yeah?
I don't know. I can't remember, but yeah, they had some funny stuff in there. But overall, the Justice League movie was pretty terrible. But
Yeah, I've seen a clip, which I'm guessing is the last scene of the movie. Either that or was like a mid credits thing where Flash and Superman are gonna race to see who's
yeah,
faster.
that was a mid
And
credit.
that
Yeah.
was kind of fun. Yeah, completely divorced from any context. I only saw that scene in isolation. I have not seen the movie, so
Yeah, and it's just meant to be a goofy throwback to all the Flash and Superman race comics.
hmm And I
Yeah.
still think Flash should be faster than Superman because if he's not, then what's the point?
Well, considering the Flash can time travel, you would think that he would be faster than Superman.
Yeah,
He could just time travel to the end of the race, and he's there, and just like that.
yeah. It's like I don't. It's like you don't understand, Superman. I already won. Here's the trophy. I went to the future and got it. So here, let me go to the future and drag you back here to this time to tell yourself that you lost. That would
Too
actually
many.
be a lot more interesting than a race. Just
Yeah.
future Superman is kind of standing there humbled. He's like, yeah, you lost. You lost bad.
Yeah.
So
Give me a KOTOR movie. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I've mentioned it before.
only if the main character wanders around in her underwear throughout the entire movie, like my character did in the game.
Yeah.
Because if she doesn't, then it's not true to my experience with the game.
Yeah. See, and my thoughts are with Star Wars movies. Going back to the Star Wars movie thing, is let's rewind time to even further back in time, and even a long time ago, and go back to the start of the Jedi Order. Back when
I've got a
people were
title
trying
treatment for you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
The First Jedi.
See, there we
Mhm.
go. The first Jedi. Go back to when they were trying to figure out the whole Force thing, and you've got the whole Jedi factions, because there's a whole lore about this thing, about
And don't make it like the
factions,
great
and then
great
it just
great great grandfather of Luke Skywalker. Skywalker the
yeah,
first. Don't do that.
yeah, but yeah, it's just the formation of the Jedi Order and the Sith and everything, and explore that time period. That would be a lot of fun, because it would be a totally different experience theme for the movies. And Matthew says too many Marvel movies. I don't know about that. And they're still
I think no, because I'm really looking forward to Ant-Man and Wasp and Captain Marvel and the new Avengers movie. So they're currently at about on pace for about 3 a year. I'd be fine with 4.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Yoda's
Zach,
great.
we're not going to talk about Avengers tonight because Zachary.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. But I don't know when I'll get around to actually watching it. My wife wants to go see it, so that's a pretty good indication that we will probably go see it sometime in the next few weeks. But we don't typically go to the movies very often.
Matthew says the first Jedi would be Yoda's great 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 grandfather.
Yeah. Probably.
It's got to be related. Chaos shares my opinion. As long as they stay good, keep making them. Yeah. Or, I mean, if they're bad, sure, keep making them. I'm just not going to go see them. Kind of like most of DC's movies. Although rumblings are that the James Wan's Aquaman film is looking good. So, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Wonder Woman because I heard it was good. I didn't see Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, or Justice League because I heard they were bad and they looked bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm putting a link into the chat here to a video from a comedy show called Studio C, and they did a hilarious remove any web addresses and try again. Oh, won't let me link it. What? That stinks. Okay, well, just look up Studio C Star Wars movies in the future, and it's basically
Maybe.
about the Star Wars creative team at Disney trying to come up with their like 700th
Yeah.
film.
Send it to me in the
And
Hangout chat, and maybe I can post it because I started the podcast or something. Maybe I have
maybe
permissions.
let's see here.
Matthew says, "How many
Chat.
more years before saturation? 5 years?" Uh, eh. Okay, hang on a second. Do. Copy link address. And can I do it? There we go.
All right. So yeah, anybody, if you guys want to watch that, it's a pretty funny skit. I like it.
Depends on
Um,
what you mean by saturation, Matthew. Do you mean where every movie is Marvel movie? Being that Disney owns Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars, Lucas,
yeah,
um,
they're
and
about to own the
Fox, and
box. Yeah,
that
they
may
keep.
actually happen. Every movie is Disney movie. You know what was
Yeah,
weird? There was this. You know how sometimes studios will congratulate each other for having a good movie.
yeah,
Uh, Disney actually, Star Wars congratulated Marvel for Avengers beating Force Awakens in
yeah,
sales or
yeah,
whatever in
yeah.
box office,
The box
and I'm
office
like,
weekend, yeah,
you
first.
know, that stops being charming when Disney owns both companies. Disney's just shaking its own hand. It's going, I did so well. Yes, I
Good
did. Did I? You
job,
did.
good
Good.
job,
Good
Disney.
job, me.
You're
That's
awesome.
it's
Yeah,
it's pat on the back. I don't know. It was a cute image of someone's hand, probably Ray's hand, handing
yeah,
a lightsaber off to Iron Man's hand, and I'm like, it's cute, it's nice,
yeah,
but it's like Disney owns both, so that it seems a little.
yeah.
It feels hollow. I'll
Yeah,
say that.
definitely, definitely. But I will say that Marvel knocked it out of the park, box office wise, because I believe like their first day they made more money than the Justice League did in its entire first week, and its first weekend sales it made more money than
Its
Justice
entire
League has
run,
made
yeah,
to today.
and
It's
its
just
entire 7 months run or
yeah,
something like that.
and so yeah. Warner Brothers really needs to pay attention.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about I'm sorry, Avengers, if anyone's looking for my thoughts, I quite enjoyed it. I don't think it's as good as Marvel's recent run of movies, which I think have been just consistently very good. And
Yeah.
I'm talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther. I feel
What
this
about
is. Hmm?
Spider-Man: Homecoming? Doesn't fit in there.
Spider-Man: Homecoming does not fit in there. And I
Okay.
like Spider-Man: Homecoming. I quite like it, but I feel that Guardians 2, Thor 3, and Black Panther are just on the next level up. This I would put on, yeah, I'd put it probably on about the same level as Spider-Man, a bit higher maybe. A lot of that's
Yeah.
due to spectacle, but it's interesting because the film, for me, and I think probably for most viewers, there are going to be several beats that they don't fall flat. I wouldn't say that, but they don't land as well as they should because they are based on relationships that you intellectually understand because you're told that these two characters relate to each other in this
Yeah.
particular way, but you're never really shown it, so you don't emotionally connect with it. So if the, and I'm
Okay.
that's I understand that's intentionally vague,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about that more in a future episode once Zachary's seen the movie. But that's probably one of my largest problems with the film is some beats do not land as well as they could have
Yeah.
if the character relationships were properly developed.
Yeah, and I can understand that because they are shoving together several dozen heroes and some villains into a 2.5 hour film. Is
Mhm.
it something like that?
Yeah, it's 2.5
And so
hours. I forget.
yeah,
We predicted what the runtime would be at some point. I don't remember
I don't
who,
remember what
who
we,
won.
we predicted.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
whatever.
uh, but yeah. So yeah,
Let's
it
just say
is.
I won.
Yeah, it is pretty. I would say it would be pretty difficult to create new relationships in that runtime because based on the trailers, they're pairing up, Iron Man and Iron Man and Spider Man. We already know
Mhm.
they have a relationship, but they're pairing him up with Doctor Strange and the Guardians, or
Mhm. And that works really
specifically
well.
Peter Quill, and then you've got uh, Thor and the other Guardians, I believe, and I don't know who. Everybody else pretty much knows each other. I think in all the other pairings or groupings that I saw in the trailers. So, but yeah, it's you know it, you gotta work at those
Yeah, and I
relationships.
want to be clear that when I mean the relationships are told rather than shown, I am counting the relationships as established in previous movies.
Yeah,
Uh, to give an example from an earlier movie, the relationship between Hulk and Black Widow in Age of Ultron just kind of comes out of nowhere,
yeah,
and you're just kind of told about it, and you're like, okay, it's a thing that is, and so you're like, okay, so this is a thing that is. You never really get to experience how it started, or what
yeah,
the rapport is. It's one of the reasons that relationship kind of sticks out in Age of Ultron and feels crowbarred in, because it was never alluded to, it was never set up. It just doesn't work. And there are, to my mind, two major relationships in Avengers Infinity War that are kind of, one kind of comes out of nowhere, and one was kind of alluded to in previous films, but just wasn't done well enough for you to
yeah.
actually
So
feel that.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the second one you're talking about is Scarlet Witch and Vision.
Yes.
Um, Not really sure what the other one would be,
The thing is,
just off the thought.
yeah,
But yeah,
well, like I said, it comes out of nowhere. But the thing is in both cases, all of the actors genuinely sell it. I mean,
yeah,
the actors are good. They are doing their jobs. They're selling it. So you understand it. You get it. You intellectually understand it. You just never really emotionally connect with it. You never feel it
yeah.
because it's just kind of comes out of nowhere. But the actors' credits, but to all the actors' credit, they definitely sell it. So.
Okay, well, that's good.
Uh, Born Distracted, do you think the Marvel Universe has peaked now that the Avengers did so well at the box office? Well, it depends on what you mean by peaked. If you mean peaked box office wise, no, because
Possibly,
it
yeah.
hasn't opened in China yet. So as soon as they open one of these in every territory at the same time, we still haven't seen
Yeah,
the upper limit. And besides, theater ticket
that's true. Yeah,
prices continually go up, so the box office numbers are constantly going to inflate along with
yeah,
inflation, which is why a lot of people advocate, well, they should only report box office numbers based on inflation. And I'm like, my want has always been, stop giving me box office dollars and start reporting ticket sales. Tell me
yeah,
how many individual tickets were purchased for Avengers Infinity War, because that's a much more meaningful number to me.
yeah.
A
Definitely.
billion dollars. I don't know what $1 billion represents. I don't have a concept of how many screenings that, how many individual viewings of the film that is.
Yeah,
But
and I think
if you say 357 million tickets were sold, it's like, holy biscuits, that's a lot of people watching that movie.
yeah.
So,
So, but speaking of peaked, I don't think any individual superheroes movie is going to do as well. but I can certainly see Avengers 4, Infinity War Part 2, doing just as well, if not better, just because we have been left with a basic, for all intents and purposes, just by nature of knowing the Infinity War story from the comic books, they've lost. So we've got to find out how they win in the end, and we've got to figure that out. And I think that film will do just as well, if not better. But in individual character movies, won't do anywhere near Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah, I
Box
don't
office.
expect Ant-Man and the Wasp to do quite as well as Infinity War.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I have a feeling will do a lot better than the first Ant-Man movie. But
Probably.
yeah, but probably nowhere near Infinity Wars, Thor Ragnarok, or I say
Black
Wars,
Panther.
or Black Panther. Yeah, it's not going to do anywhere near as good as those, but it's definitely going to be way better than the first Ant-Man.
And I like the first Ant-Man.
Yeah, the first Ant-Man was a lot of fun, but man, the latest. Did you see the latest trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, that trailer was really good and got me excited for the movie, and I'm already excited for Ant-Man and the Wasp because I like Scott Lang and his character. I like that character. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and some of the I know Matthew's saying in a couple places that Marvel spends so much time on action scenes and not enough on the world, and yeah, but the action scenes are a lot of time really good. I'm
Yeah.
really impressed with the choreography and staging of some of the fight scenes I've seen
Hmm.
for Ant-Man the Wasp in the trailer. Um, and
Yeah. Yeah,
I'll,
just on those fight scenes there, the scenes that we've seen of the Wasp, she's just totally
oh
kicking
yeah.
butt. It's great. She has mastered the skill of shrinking and growing in order to defeat her opponents. And
Yeah, she shows up between two dudes in a car, and a guy's like, "Oh no, wasp!" and he punches at her, and she just
shrinks down and
miniaturizes and ends up punching the guy next to her. And then it's a CG shot, but it looks pretty good. There's a really wonderful shot of her swinging out the rear view, or the rear window, and straight through the driver's window. I'm like, that's just an incredibly that's almost
yeah,
physically impossible, but that's a really imaginative stunt. I really like that.
yeah, yeah.
So, let's
I'm looking
see.
forward to seeing what they do with the ghost. We've
Oh
seen
yeah.
we that trailer had a few action shots with the ghost in it,
Hmm.
which was good. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more because the ghost is a way better, a way more interesting villain than the yellow jacket that they had in the first one. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a different power set. Because the first movie, it just like pretty much
Ant-Man
every
versus
other,
other Ant-Man.
yeah, just like every
Yeah.
other Marvel movie out there, it's like the hero versus their mirror image. But now we're finally looking at you know two characters with totally different power sets going at it, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
Although I did love when Yellow Jacket got caught in a bug zapper. That
Yeah,
was pretty great.
yeah. And when Yellow Jacket got ran over by a Thomas the Tank Engine, that
That
was
whole last scene is really great, and
yeah, it
they
is.
spoil it in the trailer, but yeah, I would have too, because it's
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
just like
oh no, and it pans back, and the music is on, and the train just hits and falls over. It's great.
yeah.
Matthew and Addicted to Chaos are saying that in the U.S. ticket prices are going down, and Chaos provides an anecdote saying that his theater actually dropped their prices. Oh, okay. That's good to hear. It's certainly not happening in my neighborhood.
See, my
I'm judging the
local,
rest of the country by the
yeah,
theaters I'm near, but it may absolutely be true.
yeah.
It's
See,
not true
see,
in my neighborhood.
the local theater here in my town, I believe their tickets are 750 or 8. I can't remember. Um, but that is on the low end. If I go to one of the
Oh,
major
ticket
theaters,
sales, not prices. Okay.
okay,
Yeah.
sales.
Well, going to the theater sucks because other people and a lot of people have Netflix now, so
Yeah.
not too surprising.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. people are just not going to the movies anymore. Well, people are
Can you
still going to the
blame them?
movies, but they go to see specific movies, and it's just, yeah, you're not going to go and see. I don't know anybody, like personally, I know nobody who goes to the movies more than once a month. And you know,
I do
occasionally,
sometimes. It depends on the month. If
yeah,
I don't know what day I guess I saw Avengers in April. It's out on
yeah,
April 29th, I guess. Um, but I'll definitely be seeing it. Well, I might go twice this month because I think both Deadpool 2 and Solo are out this month. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
might actually see both this month, although one might get pushed back into early June. I don't know.
yeah. But yeah, it's just I don't go to the movies very often. See, I went and saw the last movie I saw was A Wrinkle in Time, and my father-in-law bought us tickets to that. And the movie I saw before that was Peter Rabbit, because that was a father-daughter date night. Some of my friends from church organized a father-daughter date night thing, and we all took our daughters out for ice cream and to go see Peter Rabbit.
How dare they
And
do that to Peter Rabbit? I have no idea what they
yeah,
did. I'm sure it
but
was terrible if you're a fan of Peter Rabbit.
I
If you're a
I
Peter Rabbit purist.
I have no recollection of ever having read a Peter Rabbit
Yeah,
book,
I don't know either.
and I was completely bored in the movie. It was just
Hmm.
all, all it wasn't even clever slapstick or clever comedy. It was just all run of the mill children's movie comedy
Correct.
stuff. And
You know what looks insufferable, but everyone tells me is actually really, really good? The Paddington movies.
I
Like,
hear they're good too,
really?
but I've never seen them. My kids watched the first one, but I wasn't. I don't remember what was going on, but I didn't get to watch it with them. And Paddington is again another thing that I just have no history with, and
Right,
so I
yeah.
have
Same
no
here.
interest in watching it. But yeah, from everything that I've seen and heard, they're actually pretty good movies. I know my family liked them. They want to. I think they've watched the second one already too, if that's out already. I don't remember.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I
but
hear they're both genuinely very, very good movies. But yeah, they're the kind of movies that I watch a trailer and go, well, that looks horrible. I mean,
yeah,
that looks outright aggravating, like a movie that I couldn't sit through because I just
yeah,
got an itch and I need to.
yeah.
So, oh, Born Distracted. I take it you didn't care much for The Last Jedi, eh?
I watched The Last Jedi and I thought it was pretty good. But
Yeah, me too. I liked it.
yeah, I I consider myself a Star Wars fan, but I'm not a
Yeah.
Star Wars fanboy or a
I
rabid
used
fan
to
or
be. Now
anything.
I'm just a fan.
Yeah, I when I was a teenager, I would read every Star Wars extended universe novel I could get my hands on, even the terrible ones. And I even have a collection. They're not over there, but I have a collection of about a dozen extended universe novels that I had actually picked up. But yeah, but I went on my mission to England and came back, watched the the prequel trilogy, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm outgrown Star Wars at this point. But the new Star Wars movies are actually making me more interested in it, but I don't. Star by Star killed Star Wars for me. I don't
Is
know.
that an
I'm not
extended
familiar with that
universe title?
story. But yeah, but the new movies, I've been enjoying all of them. Rogue One, Force Awakens, and The Last Jedi have all been really good Star Wars stories as far as I'm concerned. But,
I was a little softer on Rogue One. I enjoyed it, but I didn't feel it really came together as a film. I didn't think it worked.
yeah,
I
they,
liked
they
the
did have
idea.
reshoot and editing
Yeah.
issues, but yeah.
So, but did you see the new Deadpool 2 music video with Celine Dion.
Celine Dion, yeah,
That was pretty damn funny.
that was pretty good, and the
I
song
was
was pretty
I was
catchy.
actually yeah,
So,
the song's fine.
yeah.
I like the ending bit with Celine Dion talking to Deadpool, and I was
Yeah,
pretty pleased to see
like
that she was game and actually
it,
delivered her lines pretty well.
yeah, she did.
It
Yeah, it
wasn't still.
was.
I mean, it was heightened, but it wasn't stilted and uncomfortable. Like, oh, stick to singing, you know. No, it worked
Yeah,
just fine.
it,
So,
it, it did work out, and it was a hilarious ending too.
mhm.
It's just, um, yeah, that's it's a great song. But this is going in the Deadpool movie. Can we tone it down to a four or a five, maybe a 5.5? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let us move to our first topic, which is something I completely made up this afternoon when someone tweeted something at me. And a
All right.
site called Retro Fighters is,
Retro Fighters.
yeah, I guess they like old fighting games.
Where they
So they've
fight
come
about
out
retro stuff.
where they just constantly fight about retro the games.
Yeah.
But they have a new N64 controller coming out that you can
Ooh.
pre-order, and it looks like this. Let me share that real quick. And so there's the new the Retro Fighters N64 controller, which, as far as I can tell, actually will works is meant to be to play your N64 with. And
Well,
I think
that's
I
yeah,
yeah, you know, an N60, a more modern take on the N64 controller.
yeah,
And
definitely. It makes
it's
it more comfortable, as far as I can tell.
yeah,
Yeah.
what's interesting is the A and B buttons seem to be a little bit lower than they were, and I got out my one of my N64 controllers and compared it to this, what I'm guessing is a mock-up. And yeah,
Yeah.
they've apparently repositioned the A and B buttons a bit. I'd have to wrap my hands around it, but they seemed
Yeah.
fine in the first place. Um, the so it's fine. It's not how I would do it, and
Yeah.
that's what I want to discuss. Is like, if I were to design a new controller to the N64, what would I do? And it wouldn't be that.
Yeah.
What I would do probably is one of the things that I noticed when I played about 7 or 8 hours straight of the N64 on one of the Extra Life charity events a few years ago is when you hold the center and the right prong, your hand, I'm sorry, your left arm kind of ends up bending like this,
Yeah.
because you can hold it on the outside, but then you hit the inner grip and your hands are together like that. And after several hours, oh man, that really hurts. So I'd probably pull that further apart and angle them out a bit.
Yeah.
Um, but one of the things I love about the N64 controller that this controller doesn't have is the Z trigger. I mean, it has this new controller has what looks very much like the GameCube analog triggers, and then two more shoulder buttons on top of it. So an
Yeah.
L and R one and
I do. I think I've seen this before, and my understanding is the two triggers are both the Z trigger. They both function as the Z trigger, and then the shoulder buttons are the L and R buttons that were on
mm.
the N64 controller. Um, but yeah, the two triggers are both the Z trigger. Um,
Yeah, but the thing about the N64 controller is the trigger is actually on the underside of the controller. So you're driving the thumbstick here and you're actually pulling with your index finger rather
yeah,
than, kind of doing it like this. You're doing it like this. And it's more, it feels more like an actual trigger rather
yeah,
than a shoulder bumper. And I really like that. And you miss out on that with this particular design, which I feel kind of loses one of the things I like about the N64
yeah.
controller.
It definitely loses the uniqueness of the N64 controller,
Mhm.
but I'm personally not a fan of the N64 controller. I don't like it at all.
Mm.
Yeah, I played a little bit of Ocarina of Time on the N64 with its controller, and then I played the re-release on the GameCube. and I totally preferred the GameCube experience to the N64 experience with that.
Well, controllers maybe, but I
Yeah,
actually tried the GameCube re-release, and I stopped after about 20 minutes because the game just didn't run very well. You know,
yeah,
the game paused whenever you tried to get into the game froze for a half a second or so every time you hit the pause menu. I'm
yeah.
like, oh man, there's no way I'm going through like the water temple like this where I'm constantly having to put the damn boots on and on. No, this ain't playing. Uh,
Yeah.
so
Unique, you mean bad?
yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of people really don't like the N64
yeah,
controller.
I don't.
It's my favorite.
Nintendo, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Nintendo tried something different
Hmm.
because Sony aped the SNES controller design,
Hmm.
and and so Nintendo was trying to differentiate themselves, and they made something unique. It's just that middle thing and the placement of it, and like you said, you know, the way you have to hold it is just it's completely uncomfortable, and I just don't like it.
Yeah, although to be fair, the GameCube controller would take the place as my favorite controller over the N64 if it didn't have a poorly positioned Z trigger and a inadequately small D-pad. If you would have fixed those two things, that would have been my favorite controller of all
Yeah,
time. But N64 takes it for me as long as you don't try to marathon it for 8 hours because then you're just
yeah.
pissed. So
Matthew says, "Give me an Xbox 360 or Xbox One controller." Yeah, the
sure.
the 360 has pretty much become
Mm.
the standard layout, and the one layout that pretty much everybody at this point is aping because you know originally everybody was mimicking the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 controller because that's what the that was the popular console at the time, and but now that you know, with the success of the Xbox 360, uh, third party controller makers have shifted more towards doing the 360 design,
Yeah.
and you know, and even you know, even third party, some third party PlayStation 3 controllers swap the D-pad and the left analog stick,
As
and
they should. Yeah.
yeah,
Another way of saying that is putting the analog stick and the D-pad in the correct position on the
yeah.
controller.
And my son likes playing with that controller too, and because we bought a couple of those, and my son likes playing on those. I just always stick with the classic PS3 controller to the
Yeah.
DualShock 3, but you know,
Chaos is saying that the Switch Pro is the best. Yeah, the Switch Pro is fine.
yeah,
The sticks are in the right place. It's got all the buttons you need, and I'm good to go with that one. I would
yeah.
say, however, that Nintendo's worst controller, the Joy-Con, by far. I mean,
I don't have any experience
you
with
want
the
a
Joy-Con,
genuinely
but
uncomfortable controller, Joy-Con. Now, to
yeah,
be fair, when they're in their little dock cradle
the
thing, what did
grip,
I do with it?
yeah,
Oh, I put it in my cedar chest because I don't need it ever again because I have the Pro controller. I don't have it out. Yeah, the Joy-Con
yeah,
are sitting on the sides of my Switch where they will probably forever remain.
yeah,
So yeah, I although it's interesting because I made a video last fall about my discovery that the my discovery and
Joy-Con
shock
suck. Yeah,
that the Joy-Cons are terrible. And occasionally, I still get people responding to that video agreeing with me. And
yeah,
nice to know I'm not crazy. But I mean, I feel bad for anyone who hates the controller because
yeah,
I don't like hating the controller. I, I, I don't like not liking the controller for two reasons. One, because it's the controller, and two, because I am a Nintendo fanboy.
yeah.
Although I'm probably going to have to rebrand myself as the Switch hating Nintendo fanboy at some point. Um,
Yeah, and
in
Matthew
fact,
says that Steam now supports the Switch Pro controller, which,
mhm,
yeah, rightly they should.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a, you know, it's a really a good serviceable controller
I have
if
no
you don't
idea how
already own a 360 controller.
do I have the proper cable to hook this up to my PC? Is this the right port? No, I would need another plug. So I can't. So I'll just have to use my PS4 controller if I really, really want to play Steam games, which
Yeah.
I generally don't. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I just
PC
have my
games are when I have no other choice.
yeah. See, and I've got my wired 360 controller that I bought, and I use it when I need to play a game that plays better with a controller or
Mhm.
requires a controller. But for the
Yeah.
most part, keyboard and mouse works just fine for most of the games that I end up playing on the on the PC. But there are a few games that I like playing that play better with a controller, like Super Meat Boy and Shank and uh, you know, those kind of games. I guess, mostly the
Anything that's not a
side
puzzle
scrolling
or point and click
platformers. Yeah,
adventure game is better with a
yeah,
controller. I mean, I tried playing a first person shoot. Well, actually, I think it's a third person shooter. Uh, Spec Ops: The Line, and I played it for a couple minutes, and I'm like, nah, I don't want to play this with
yeah.
a controller.
I tried playing Stardew Valley with the controller, and I'm like, how do you this game is impossible to play with a controller, and I'm just like, how is it so popular on consoles? Uh,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess on the Switch, if you play it handheld mode, you can just, tap it, kind of like Minecraft.
yeah,
I mean, these are games that are developed to
I don't
pull a
know.
bunch of
It's
crap out of
just
a menu with a
with
mouse.
Stardew Valley, if you're playing with a keyboard and mouse, when you want to if you want to hoe dirt or water your plants, you just click on the square you want to hoe or water. Um, but with a controller, you actually have to turn your character that direction and hit the A button or a B button or whatever it is, the A button, in order to perform the action. So you have to turn your character where you want to hoe or water, and it's just like, that is a pain in the butt.
Mm.
I would rather just click next to my character and have them automatically turn and perform the action. But
Matthew says there are studies that show shooters are objectively better with mouse and keyboard.
I'm not familiar with those studies, but I would
Neither
be
am I,
interested
but
in
I mean,
reading them.
I guess it depends on exactly how you're quantifying better. I mean,
Yeah,
it, is a keyboard is aiming in a first person shooter easier with a mouse? Yeah, in fact, it's one of the things I don't like. It turns first person shooters into completely trivial, boring games. I mean, it's kind of like I played the what is it? Resident Evil 4, the Wii edition.
uh huh,
Uh, and that game was built for the GameCube, right? So
yeah,
there's a mini game in it where there's a shooting gallery, and it was a challenging thing to ace because you got little trophies for doing well in the shooting gallery. On the Wii, where you can it's not mouse and keyboard, but you're using
yeah,
the Wii remote to just point at the screen. It is simple. I mean, it's so simple. It's like boring. And to me, that's one of the problems with mouse and keyboard for at least first-person shooters is because the game becomes easy. It's like headshot, headshot, headshot. Just click on their heads. Headshot,
yeah,
headshot, headshot. For me, that's boring. I mean, I guess there's a part of there's an appeal to it. It's like, oh, I am the best. Oh, headshot, 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 and that can be kind of a rush and kind of cool. It takes a lot of the
yeah.
challenge out of the game for me, but really, mostly my problem is not so much the mouse; it's the keyboard. That's just really not a fun way for me to move about in a 3D space, or and also, WASD
They
I'm
need to
fine, but
make
you want me to do more with my hand, like trying to get I for inventory or W or E or shift and control, and I can handle WASD and maybe spacebar, but beyond that, it just
yeah,
to be fair, I'm not used to it because I play predominantly console games. But those
yeah.
are the things that I personally don't care for when it comes to keyboard and mouse controls. Now, stuff like
They should
Stardew
make
Valley or
yeah,
Minecraft, or well, I hate Minecraft, but Stardew Valley, puzzle games like Tetris or Puyo Puyo or whatever, point and click adventure games, those are fine. I'm
oh,
totally fine with keyboard and mouse because you just WASD to move around and then you click on the things you want to interact with. It feels
yeah.
completely natural. Um, but first-person shooters don't feel natural to me. I don't like the keyboard part, and the mouse part just makes the game boringly simple.
Yeah.
So, but you know, you do you. You
They
like
should make a gaming peripheral that's like the mouse companion that basically just replaces the keyboard part of it with base a, a desktop version of the left half of a controller. I think, and just that would be kind of interesting because I've seen gaming keyboards where where it's they're I don't know. They're more mouse shaped. Like they come in, they break apart into two pieces and stuff. Really interesting stuff. But yeah, just like a keyboard or a mouse companion for gaming, PC gaming, where it's like you've got yeah. So like here's my trackball, and so just the reverse of it, where instead of the trackball here, you have the analog stick, and then these would be your trigger buttons and or your left trigger and shoulder button, and then you have your start and you know do whatever like the D-pad and everything else on that. It would be kind of interesting to see something like that. I wonder if there's anything like that out there. But, oh well.
all right, let us move to a new topic. And that
All
new
right.
topic is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze,
Woo!
which maybe I'm being unreasonable here, but I think Nintendo is being a bit of a putz.
Really? You
Yes,
think?
I think. Therefore I am correct. Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze came out on the Wii U 4 years ago for $50.
No.
It has since dropped in price to $20. You can buy it. You can buy it at retail for about $20, and it was on the Wii U eShop for $20. Well, Tropical Freeze has been ported to the Switch. It came out this week for $60. Not only, well, it includes Funky Kong, so there's your
Yeah.
extra two
So
bucks, I guess.
yeah. Well, I guess
Not only
technically
that,
the extra $40, but
well, yeah.
yeah,
Because it's 20 now, so shouldn't it be 20? Or maybe if Funky Kong is worth $10, it should be 30. No, $60. But not only that, not only are they releasing it for $10 more than it came out at 4 years ago, uh, Nintendo removed the digital version of the game from the Wii U eShop. So you could still, if you can find it at Walmart or on Amazon,
yeah,
you can still buy a physical copy of the Wii U version of the game for $20, but you cannot buy the game on the Wii U eShop. Nintendo took it off.
that is weird. Yeah,
And Nintendo has not said anything about it, but what it looks like is we want you to spend $60 on the game, not 20. So we can't just we're not going to recall
yeah,
every physical Wii U copy, but we can make sure you can't buy it for $20 digital. And
yeah.
that to me is just kind of sleazy. I mean, because if you don't have a Switch, are you going to pay $360 to play Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze? Probably not. But if you
Probably not.
already had a Wii U, take the $20, Nintendo. All you are doing, the only thing you are accomplishing is losing money. Because there are very few people, I imagine, who are like, oh, Donkey, that looks really good. Oh, it's $20 on the Wii U? Oh, you won't let me buy it? Well, okay, I'll pay 3 times the amount.
No.
Don't
Yeah.
think a lot of people are going to do that. Then
Yeah.
again, not a lot of people had the Wii U in the first place, so most of the people who are so I mean, it's not like so many people own the Wii U that it's going to be a huge. Oh, everyone just bought it on the Wii U. I don't see
Yeah.
that happening. So
Yeah.
it just seems kind of a jerk move on Nintendo's part.
Yeah. And it is. It is. But just a funny side note on the Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze thing is that I'm gonna pull this up here. This is the U.S. cover on the left and the European and Japanese cover on the right. And for some reason, they changed Donkey Kong's foot for the European release. And I've learned since that it's the exact same way for the Wii U version of the game. It's like they for some reason they decided to keep this discrepancy from the Wii U instead of just picking one of the covers for the Switch version. It's just, it makes no sense why they changed the foot.
Yeah,
But
that
they
is kind of
did.
weird.
It
I
is
guess
weird.
maybe a line of action kind of thing, like he's coming right out at you. I don't
Maybe.
know. I don't know. I kind of
Yeah.
prefer the original. I also like the fact that the US one has um, new funky mode, and then the other one is funky new mode.
Yeah, and somebody else had pointed out that up here in when you look at Funky Kong's right arm in the U.S. version, it's not very well defined, but in the European version, he's got a bicep there, a flexed bicep. They changed the lighting on that to emphasize his muscle,
Oh.
which is kind of hilarious.
Well, it
Uh,
still looks like Donkey Kong is literally pooping out Cranky Kong. So
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I saw that on
no wonder he's
Facebook
so
the other
cranky.
day, and and it was just hilarious that there was that one difference, and it's carried over from the Wii U. So,
No, Scotty says that the Wii U version is back on the eShop. Oh, all right, cool.
that is interesting.
And yeah, that is one thing I failed to mention is that the Wii U version was taken off in February, I think.
Yeah,
So it's been gone for a couple months, but it was taken down after the Switch version was announced, I think in January or early February, something like that. So it really looked like they had removed it for the launch of the Switch version, but
yeah.
I actually can't check it because I have Homebrew running on my Wii U, which allows me to play the uncensored version of Fire Emblem Cross. What is it? Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Why I can never get that game's name right. I don't know why. So I can play the uncensored Tokyo Mirage Sessions, so I can't get to the eShop, so I couldn't double check it myself. But I checked a lot of sources online, and they were all saying it was gone. So, okay. If you say it's back, it's
Okay.
back. So hopefully it's $20, and they didn't put it back at like 60.
60. Hopefully not. Uh,
All right. Although, last thing I'll say about that is Tropical Freeze is probably one of the single best 2D side-scrolling platformers of all time.
yeah, I've read multiple
Unless you
sources that,
absolutely hate the way that Donkey Kong controls, which I understand because
but
he is a
I
lot heavier than
yeah.
Mario is.
Yeah, I've read multiple sources that say that Tropical Freeze is the best Donkey Kong Country game ever.
I'd go further and say it's one of the best side-scrolling platformers ever.
Yeah,
It's just phenomenal.
it is. It is. I would say without even playing it, say that it's better than the Wii one, whatever that one's called, or Donkey
Donkey
Kong
Kong
Country
Country Returns.
Returns.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one, the stupid waggle controls just really kill it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
They are just not intuitive and not fun to use, and I have a hard time playing that game. But yeah,
Matthew wants a new Mario Maker. Do you want a Switch port of Mario Maker, or do you want like Mario Maker 2 that includes Super Mario Brothers 2 theming and slopes?
yeah.
So, all right,
Super
moving on.
Luigi Maker.
There you go.
Yeah.
New, well, I like alliteration though. So, Luigi Lab Bow. I don't
Luigi
know.
Labo.
Okay,
Nice.
so last topic. Tell us
All right.
about the Atari V something or other. What the hell is this?
VCS, Video
VCS, yeah.
Computer System, I believe is what it stands for. They're basically returning to the original name for the 2600. But yeah, it's VCS, kind of a weird naming scheme. Doesn't really fit much of anything going on right now in the console world. But earlier this week, I got the announcement email of that they're going to be opening up pre-orders for the VCS, and the email said that that is the official title, the official name of the console. But they're opening up pre-orders on Indiegogo and on May 30th or May 31st. I forget which one. But
30th.
yeah, the 30th. Okay, so they're opening up pre-orders on the 30th, and I'm like, oh, okay. So and they're doing it on Indiegogo, which I guess is, it's okay. Pretty trustworthy source to spend your money. And they announced the price, or at least the early bird pre-order price of $200 to get this thing. So you get the console, and you get a standard controller, and then you get a retro joystick controller with single button joystick controller, and so all that is what you would expect. But from there, it just kind of makes you wonder who exactly they're trying to sell this thing to, because even from the beginning, the idea of the VCS, the Atari box as it was known prior to this, is that this is a console that's looking for a market that doesn't actually exist. um, just based on everything I've seen of this, it looks like they saw three things. They saw the Ouya, the Steam box, and the NES and SNES classics from Nintendo, and they saw those three things and came to the conclusion that what the world needed was something that was a mashup of all three of them. And that's, to me, that's what the Atari box seems to be going for. And I don't know exactly how they're planning on selling this to people, because we don't really have an idea of what's going to be playable on it, other than the over 100 titles, 100 retro Atari titles, which they only list like 6 of them. But a lot of people's speculation is that it's basically just going to be the Atari collection that you can buy on Steam for $10.
Yeah.
Which is 100 Atari titles, and a bunch of them are just the Atari console and the arcade versions, as listed as 2 separate games.
I imagine the licensing to a lot of the Atari catalog is probably nightmarish, because there were a lot of movie-based games on the Atari.
Oh yeah, well
I
I looked at the list of games on the Atari collection on
Mhm.
Steam, and yeah, there's not a single movie-based game. There's not a single Activision game.
So ET isn't on there.
Yeah, ET's not on there. River Raid isn't on there. Stampede, all those fun games that you actually remember playing on the
No
Atari
Activision,
aren't
so
on
no
there.
Pitfall.
Yeah, no Pitfall.
God,
Yeah.
it's like, well, then what's the point if all the games that I remember from my childhood aren't on there? Then
Well,
it's
you've
not
got
a
you've got.
nostalgia.
I probably should have looked this up again, but yeah, you can play Adventure. Yeah,
No one
that's
wants
a
to
game.
play Adventure. I
Um,
mean, people want to try it out for a couple of minutes just because they've heard of it and see what it is, and then once they see it, they're like, "Okay, I'm good."
yeah,
To be fair, I think most Atari games are like 5 minutes and you're done.
yeah. River Raid is one of those games that I can play forever just because I like it that
Barnyard
much.
Store is pretty great
Yeah,
too.
Barnyard Storm.
Circus Atari is wonderful. Does this
Yeah.
have the little paddle controllers?
No, they have not said anything about the
Aww,
paddle. It's just the joystick. So
because
yeah,
that
no.
game is so much fun.
Yeah, the
Circus
racing.
Atari is the best.
Yeah, but so I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, so standard fare. I'm the controller looks fine. It's just your standard Xbox 360 layout controller. I would have to actually feel it in order to get an idea of if it actually works. They've got this weird line down the middle, which I guess is where the player number is indicated. But yeah, so I'm looking at this and it's just, it just seems kind of out of place in the uh, modern marketplace. With the SNES and NES classics, you have a really solid lineup of games, really solid hardware that uh, really draws the nostalgia. Um, and the Steam machine went nowhere. The Ouya went nowhere, and so it's not sure. We're not sure what Atari is actually doing. And then the final retail price is $250. So if you're buying this as a replacement for your crappily made um, Atari Flashback that you get from AT Games or At Gaming, whatever it's called, that you can buy at Target or Walmart, you're gonna be a little sore because it's $250 compared to the $30 that the flashback is. Um, so all of that is just kind of out there, and I'm just makes me cock my head, and it's like, do I really? Is anybody actually going to buy this? But then I went to their website because the email had a link to the official website for the VCS, and I'm like, oh, let's go check out their website. And I went there, and let's open up let me open up these images here. Actually, let's just go to the website, and I'm going to screen share this because it is just weird.
While you're working on that, what aesthetically, what do you think of the design of the box? Personally, I like the the wood panel and
Yeah,
gray plastic look. I don't like the contour of it,
yeah, the
but I
contour
like
is kind
but
of odd,
yeah,
but
but
yeah,
I like the idea of that wood paneling because that's what the original Atari
yeah,
looked like.
the 2600. Yeah, that's the iconic look of the 2600, and I do like the look of this thing. It is a nice looking console.
Yeah.
And I don't really have an issue with the look of it and the controllers and stuff because it's a nice looking thing. The
Hmm.
pricing and the demographic market is just totally
Yeah,
confusing.
it's weird. It's
Um,
$250, and I think most people are going to look at it like it's an NES Classic Edition. You're like,
yeah, they're
wait,
gonna look at it like
it's a
it. Yeah,
bunch of old Atari games for $250? I mean, the
yeah,
SNES
exactly.
Classic's only 80.
Yeah, and people are going to look at it like an Atari flashback, but it's going to be priced the same as a Switch, uh, or a PS3 or a PS4. And they're going to be like, what? So here we go at the website. I'm screen sharing this thing, and so the first thing you see, you've got the VCS up at the top, and button to join the waitlist, reinventing the way you game again. I'm like, okay. Um, but the first thing you
Never
see,
believe any game company who says that.
yeah,
Maybe
so,
Nintendo sometimes, but
yeah. So after
reinventing the no, not.
so after the tagline and the image, this is a kind of a video thing. You see four icons for websites here: Mashable, The Verge, Forbes, and CNET, and they're just kind of sitting here. They don't link to anything. They're just there, and I'm just
It's
like,
like, do we have
okay,
pull quotes from them? Did they
yeah. I'm like,
review it? What? Are
yeah,
are they? Do they have money in it? What?
yeah. That's like I see this and I have no idea why these are here because they don't link, so they're not there as represented, to draw you into reporting
Yeah,
or
I would.
reviews or
That's
anything.
what I would expect
Yeah,
is a link to some early preview or other
yeah.
reporting at those outlets.
And so, and then we've got another join the wait list thing, and then you've got your standard uh, glamour photos, glamour shots, and here's more about the controller, and then we get down here to this bottom part, and here we again, you can see we've got more website icons with no links, but right above it you've got three quotes, and these quotes, are highly positive. They're high praise of this thing. Sharp and modern, amazing,
Well,
retro revival.
I mean, if Monty E really likes it,
Yeah, and but
who?
so I'm looking at this, and it's right up. It's in the you can look at this. It's a solid white block with these three quotes and a list of news outlets right underneath the quotes. And so when I saw these, the first thing I'm thinking is like, okay, are these quotes from one of these news outlets or more several of these news outlets? Who are these quotes from? And there's no links on any of this. The images are just there. The logos are just static images. The link or the quotes are just, for all intents and purposes, just anonymous quotes because it's just a first name and a last initial.
I don't think they
And
asked Jonathan R. permission to use his quote when they
yeah,
pulled it from Facebook or
yeah.
wherever.
And so they it was pointed out to me on Twitter that if you go to the oh, that's the wrong link. If you go to the press page, down at the bottom, we actually get some links to different websites, and I actually went over because Mashable, Forbes, and Engadget were all listed on the front page,
Mhm.
and I went to them and none of the bylines matched those three quotes, and so I checked the other websites. None of the bylines matched, and so I sent an email to I sent a contact through that press page through this and um, got an email back from their PR guy, and he said that um, the logos on the front do represent news outlets that have reported on the VCS. And he said if you just go and Google that news outlet and type Atari VCS or Atari box, then you'll find their reporting on it. I'm like, okay, why aren't you linking
Linking
to
to it.
that? And then he said that the quotes on there are just community quotes. They're just stuff that they've pulled from comments on those articles or Reddit or Twitter or whatever. And I'm just like, well, why aren't you disclosing that fact? You've got these quotes in a block with press logos, and just the average viewer is going to look at that and they're going to assume that those quotes are from press outlets, but no, they're not. They're just from nameless Joes on the internet, and it makes no sense. And
Yeah, weird.
I don't like this. This is a very dishonest advertising campaign, as far as I'm concerned. Um, yeah, and Addicted to Chaos says that they claim that it'll play modern games. Basically, it's going to be a PC for all intents and purposes. They say that you're going to be able to install Steam on it. You're going to be able to install GOG games on it, and all of that stuff. And even going back to their glamour shots, this image here in the middle is supposedly somebody playing the VCS, but he's holding a 360 controller,
Yeah.
and he's playing Terraria. And Terraria, they have mentioned Terraria in the past, Terraria and Minecraft, in when speaking to the press, as examples of games that you might be able to play on the VCS, but it's never actually been confirmed. I sent an email to Terraria, to the developer of Terraria, asking if it's actually going to be an official VCS title or not, but never got word back from them. So,
At least
um,
they thought to have the wires going from the Atari behind the console.
yeah, the
A
wire.
lot of times you'll see the console just sitting there and it's not hooked up.
Yeah, but yeah, so they're using the 360 controller, so you got to wonder if that's if you'll be able to use that. Which I assume if it's basically just a Linux PC, you can, because
Hmm.
you can use the 360 controller with a with on Linux. But yeah, I have no idea who they're trying to sell this to.
Well, I think
Um,
that
yeah,
incredibly expansive and profitable Ouya audience.
yeah, probably. And to be honest, I loved the Ouya. I was really excited about the idea of it, and I bought it, and I actually enjoyed a number of games on there, and a couple of developers got their start developing games on the Ouya, and then went on to make games on other on PC and console. But yeah, but the Ouya did suffer from a lot of issues. I don't think the hardware was, or at least not the guts of the machine, was one of the problems. But definitely the controller was their weak point, I thought. But yeah, basically this is what everybody was telling Ouya that they should have done when they when they first made it. And I'm like, I kept telling people, it's like, you can't make the Ouya more powerful and keep it as $100. You make it more powerful, and you're gonna have to charge 200, and that's what the Atari VCS is doing. They're charging $250 for what everybody wanted the Ouya to be. And then you have Steam machines. Valve tried to make the Steam machine a thing, and nobody cared one bit about it because everybody already had a PC. They didn't need to
That's
buy
Steam
it.
on it.
Yeah, they have a
Like, why do
PC
I
with
need
Steam
that?
on it. Yeah.
I'm browsing Steam right now. I can tell
Uh,
that Zachary's playing Stardew Valley today.
yeah. So yeah, it's a console looking for a market that doesn't exist, and
Mm.
we'll have to see if they can actually make their pre-order goal. I would be very surprised. I know I'm not going to buy it. I did create a GoFundMe account or campaign for all you viewers out there. If you guys want to help me buy one, um, that article has a GoFundMe link at the end of it, and you can toss some money my way and help me raise the $200 to to buy this thing. It doesn't come out until 2019. They didn't give a specific time frame in 2019; just said early
Yeah,
2019.
I think we'll see it at E3.
So maybe. I don't think they'll do a press conference, but
Oh
you
well.
probably see it on the show floor. I would assume. But
Mm.
yeah,
What I would like is if they'd put a Atari cartridge slot so you could plug your old Atari games in there and play
yeah.
them.
See, that's
If you
something that
find anything in a garage sale, then you can plug it on in and play it. And if you
yeah,
can't find anything, then hey, we've got a whole digital store where you can buy all the classics. Or
yeah, and the Sega the at games Sega console thing that you can buy for $30 at Walmart. That one has a cartridge port, and you can play Sega Genesis and Master System games on it. The support is kind of shoddy. A lot of
Mhm.
games, there's a number of games that will not work with it, but most games do. And then there was news coming out that Sega was actually going to be making a new uh, Sega flashback or whatever they call it, classic console. So that'll be interesting, and I think that one's going to have a cartridge slot in it again.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely something that everybody kept telling Nintendo they should have done. But
Put a cartridge slot in it. Well,
yeah,
the mini, they were too small.
they were too small. Yeah, but yeah, would be nice because I picked up some. Picked up Mission Impossible, Adventure Island, and F-15 City War at a yard sale today, and I'm like,
Nice.
it would be nice to play these
I
because
have
I don't
Mission
have a
Impossible
working
for the
NES.
N64. It features the most adorable jumping animation of any game
Oh, does
ever.
it?
Oh, it's a wonderful, very prancy jump that Ethan Hunt has. It's funny. It's one of those ones where you just keep jumping. You don't run anywhere. You just jump because it's so funny looking.
Is he a pretty pony? But, uh, reports are that it's for Japan only. I assume you're talking about the Sega thing, which I think that's true. I think that's right. I haven't heard anything about a US release, but
Mm.
yeah. So Nintendo has made a classic revival, I guess you could say. Even though the flashbacks have been around for years, Nintendo getting in on that has really made everybody just want to one up their own game. Because those flashback consoles, they suck. Seriously.
Come to think of it, the Nintendo Switch is kind of the Nintendo Wii U Classic. Because all the great games that run the system that no one played are coming to the Switch.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
They're like, oh, let's skip the N64, GameCube, and Wii and go straight to the Wii U Classic. We'll just call it the Switch.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think that is our show for the evening. Let us, pardon me, plug our stuff and get out of here. Andrew Eisen here. Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it on into YouTube and you will find all my silly videos. Tomorrow I'll be releasing another debut review, this time for the Netflix show Agretzko, which is a Sanrio character, Hello Kitty.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a cute little cartoon red panda who is put upon in her miserable daily office job and lets off steam by singing death metal at karaoke.
Okay.
So I watched the first episode of that and did a debut review, and I won't tell you what I thought of the first episode, but I will tell you that I have since seen the entire season. So
okay, that's high praise.
it's an enjoyable little show. I don't think it's I wouldn't really. One thing that works in its favor is the season is only 10 episodes long and the episodes are 15 minutes apiece. So it's really just a long movie. It's 2.5 hour movie is a way to look at it. It was about the length of Infinity War. So it's a real easy one to just binge watch if you have a spare afternoon. I also binged because I saw the trailer for Ocean's 8 and I remembered, I've seen Ocean's 11. I liked it. But I saw it like 15 years ago. So I looked on Netflix and Oceans 11, 12, and 13 were there, but they were leaving the next day. So after I saw Infinity War, I went home and I watched Oceans 11, 12, and 13 and spent all day watching these movies.
I didn't like 13 as well. 12, basically the first one is the best one.
Yeah,
and
the first one's genuinely really good. 12 and 13 are... They have things I like about them, but overall, I don't know what Soderbergh was doing. I was really confused by the second one because I was like, did he not want? Was he contractually obligated to make the film and really didn't want to? So he's like, all right, I'll shoot this movie, but you're not gonna like it because I don't like it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do weird pans and zooms and weird focus things and make some shots really grainy so it looks like it was shot on completely different film stock, maybe in a different era. And it's like, Steven, dude, what are you doing? And then I watched the third movie and I saw kind of the same thing but pulled back a little bit, and I thought, you know what I think he was going for? I think he really was trying to shoot the Oceans 12 and 13 in the aesthetic of a low budget, low talent, late 60s TV show. And I thought, okay, so it's deliberate, but why?
I don't know.
I mean, a lot of it, I mean, there are things where there will be a shot and then it will push in and zoom, but it feels like the camera is being held by someone who's never held a camera before. It feels very like it's kind of wiggling on its way over to where it's immediately, or where it eventually focuses. There are scenes that start out of focus and then snap into focus, and you do see that a lot where something will start out of focus and then it'll focus on what it wants you to look at. But this one's but there's like a couple shots where it's like out of focus and it stays out of focus for 2 solid seconds, and then it just kind of snaps into focus like someone was physically fighting with the focus on the camera trying to get it into place. I'm like, what is going on here? It's so weird. But there were things I liked about the movies. But, the first one was good. The second and third are have moments.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what they do with Ocean's 8. Because one thing I
Yeah.
really didn't know is Ocean's 8 is about Danny Ocean's sister, Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Jacqueline Ocean, or whatever her name is. And I was surprised to learn that not only does she never show up in Ocean's 12 or 11, 12, or 13, she's never even mentioned. They just invented a Danny Ocean's
Nice.
sister out of it. Just came out. I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's fine, but
Well, isn't
I
it
was
is
kind of
also
surprised
his
to learn.
wife in there too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tess Ocean, Julia
Yeah.
Roberts characters in all three
Yeah.
movies. Or is she in the third one? I can't
I
remember.
think she is. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
she's
it's
definitely in the first two. But
yeah.
so yeah, new debut review tomorrow for Agretzko, and I also have one filmed for the first episode of BoJack Horseman, which is a show that I've heard a lot of great things about, and I think looks terrible. So I thought I'd just check out the first episode and see what I
Yeah.
thought. So look for that sometime later, and do follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen.
Yeah.
Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming and politics and other things. You can also follow my game development work. It's DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, you can follow OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com. So there you go.
All right, you've been listening to the 97th episode of Molehill Mountain. And if you didn't know, the winners of this year's Kunkel Awards have begun to be announced on the SPJ blog. I think it's SPJ/Kunkel or something.
Yeah, something like that.
It's there somewhere. Well, once all the award winners are announced, we'll have Brittany Friendy back on the show, and we'll talk all about that. But kudos to Jason Scherer of Kotaku, who took first, second, and third place for best news reporting.
Nice.
Yeah, good job, dude. I hope I got your name right, because I know I emailed you once to ask you how to pronounce your name because I had to say it on one of our older podcasts. So there we go. All right, so that's some upcoming stuff. Look forward to that, and look forward to next week, where we will come at you with episode 98. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.